Hey, what's up? Today we got a double unboxing, and let's just get to it. So you can see right here we have a Christopher Ward and a Seiko, and these are just two that happen to come in right about the same time. And yep, so let's get to it. First, we'll do this one. This one finally got in. It's the new C60 Pro 300. So they reduced the water resistance of the C60 down to from 600 down to 300, which allowed it to be a thinner case, and it's got that new light catcher case, and it's even thinner. And it's just really nice piece of work. So there's a box, pretty nice quality. I don't remember it being quite this sturdy before, but maybe it always was. And then this wooden, I think this is like bamboo or something, but pretty sure what's in here. A cleaning cloth, I think, likely. Yeah, I can feel it. I'm pretty sure it's like a microfiber cloth. Instructions and warranty here. And here is the watch. And actually, let me get this out too. I ordered these separately, trying to save on the import duty, right? So if you try to get this on the bracelet, which you really should get because they improved the bracelet, it tapers more. I think there's a new class system, and overall it's just should be a better clasp and bracelet than what it used to be. I think they always had the quick release for the end link portions of this. So I'll set it to here, and you can see quick release and micro adjust. So just take this out, and oh yeah, that's the other thing too. Screw links. They used to be friction or pin of some sort, but they weren't. Basically, they weren't screw pins before, so that's an improvement as well. And double pusher, the point, and you got the quick micro adjust here, right? So see, should be able to just ratchet it in. Maybe because of all the sticker on top that's holding it in. It's probably, yeah, there's a sticker here that's keeping it from going in. But basically, yeah, you should be able to just pull it out and then just push it back in to ratchet it, down back to size to a custom fit, which is good. And what's good about it is that all the extension port of it is hidden behind the clasp, which I prefer. I don't like it when it starts coming out and you can see this or something like that jutting out, and there's like an interruption between the clasp and the bracelet. And I would call out Zelos. They have a base. I think they copied Christopher Ward for the most part recently, but then they just had the new release coming out, which is kind of a anti-magnetic sport watch, the Aurora, and they changed the class, and I think it might be shorter, but the thing is, when you go to adjust it, the thing sticks out and you can see that piece, and it looks kind of ugly. I really don't like that. I would prefer if they kept the old design, which basically looks like the Christopher Ward one. And I believe the other micro brand, Notice, a month or so ago, kind of showed off a new class that they, I think, are thinking of putting onto their watches and the bracelets, and it looks similar to the one Zelos has now, which is the extension shows when you pull it out, and sorry about the focus, and so then you'll see that extension out here, or out here, I guess, when you do it. I think the clasp itself is probably a little bit shorter because of that, but if you, I don't know, I don't like that. I would be less inclined to use it. because it looks ugly. You know, with this, it always looks pretty much the same on the outside. So no matter how much you adjust it, it looks all the same. There's no interruption. So this would be better. But I was saying, you could get this on the with this instead. You have strap choices when you order the watch, but if you do, it's going to be over 1,000, even with like what I got it with it $125 off. It's still going to be well over 800, and you're going to get tax, or the import duty rather. And I was trying to avoid that, so what I did was split this up, bought this separately, and got this for less. Doesn't cost as much on this hybrid rubber strap. They also come with that what is it called? Something tied. It's like made out of recycled materials, but it's almost like a NATO, I guess, of some sort. It's got like a gray stripe. It looks good. I wanted to get that too, and I probably will, but I was going to get it separately with this, but then the estimated due date was another few months after all this, like somewhere in December. I was like, what? I don't want to wait for it. So I don't know. I'll get it later when it becomes more available. But anyway, so long story short, I guess I decided to go with the hybrid strap. So it's rubber. Oh, let's take this out. It's tricky taking this part out because it's tighter. Okay, and we'll get this unwrapped so we can get a better look. There you go. The new C60. I went with the white dial, the black bezel, and just look at that case. Beautifully finished. Love the way it's cut. It's a very thin midsection, and again, this is thinner than it was before. I think, pretty sure this is definitely under 13 mil. Whether it's under 12, I forget, but this is the 40 millimeter size. And they all practically look identical, except for, well, I mean, if you put them next to each other, you'll see the size difference, but I think the main thing that will change, everything's pretty much in proportion as they get bigger or smaller, but let's say this date window down here changes. You go up to 42, then it looks like it moves upwards more, but it's because the dials are getting larger that doesn't move. It's actually the dial that spreads out, so that date window will actually look more inwards. And as you go smaller, like say you go down to the 38, then that window would look, because the dial compresses, it'll look lower, and you get a smaller pip down here too, of the index rather, at the 6. So that will change the size depending if you go 42, 40 like this, or smaller at the 38. I probably could have gone 38, but I didn't want to worry that a diver might look a little bit too petite at 38. And I don't know, I've had C60 and the 40 before, and I liked it, and so I went with that. And also, because that clasp on that bracelet is so long, I think proportionately on a 38, it might look a little bit too overwhelming for that size watch. I think 40 just cuts it, and that's the other thing too. So anyways, fully loomed bezel, and the bezel action is really nice. I love, there's got to be a name for this thing that's, some watches don't have it marked like this. It's just plain like polished or brushed, but there's like the silver ring between the crystal and the bezel, and I'm not sure what that is called. It's not really, there's got to be a name for that. Not all dive watches have that. Sometimes it's just a straight bezel piece to the crystal, and there's not this kind of, I don't know, silver frame around it, but I always like it when it has that. And this one's marked, and it's got some brush finishing too. And you notice that it doesn't move with the bezel. So you always have to index this there, and you can still reference the time and know how much, minutes, because the bezel itself doesn't have the minute markings. So they cleverly kind of put it inside there, so you still get it, but it doesn't make the bezel, the main bezel itself, the insert looked too busy with all these hash marks all over, all over it. Just the look they went through, I think it looks cleaner that way. And I like that the bezel is thin also. This rotates really nicely. Not really much back play. Very crisp, easy, just enough tension. And it feels really good. Can't really convey it here. But there you go. And sign crown. Of course, a screw down. Integrated kind of lugs here. Crown guards. Quick release on everything on these. Display case back. Pretty sure this is using a Sellita SW200 of some sort. But we'll see how this goes. Can't wait to try this on and give it a just finally be able to have it, enjoy it. And I was hoping to get the orange rubber strap. I know Rand and Rob showed a version of this with that rubber strap, but they don't make it in 20 millimeters. It only works. You can get that option with the 42 size for this, and so the lug width is 22 instead of 20. And they do have the orange like rubber strap, but this one's really nice and pliable still. So I didn't mind, but I do like that one that was all orange too. But this works. It's got the orange accent, obviously black, and I have some ideas of what I could possibly also use this on as well. Yeah. So that's basically it. I mean, I think last thing I want to say is that I think that right now Christopher has really nailed their design, with their case at least. I mean, this is, I can't imagine they need to do more with this. I mean, it's perfectly shaped and polished and slim. And I'm on my other recent acquisition, which is a Zimby 16 Seiko limited edition from Thailand. If you know the Zimby series, then you know that, and it's on a strap mill bracelet and mill style. Anyways, and actually, this could work pretty well with this, huh? Just so happens I didn't plan that. It's just I actually kind of saw that. It's kind of the last minute. So, anyways, I'll take a look at this. It's nice that the hose are actually rubber too, so that you don't have to worry about messing up the fiber, I guess. If it was just, if it was just that material, but I think this helps reinforce it. So I'll do a quick one. This should actually go underneath this piece, that keeper, but just a quick look on wrists. My wrists are just under 7 inches. So yeah, I mean, just the way this case just flows and it's not too long. And I think the size just gives enough presence. It could go down. I could definitely do a 38. Also, I think if you want a more, I wouldn't say old school necessarily, because watches are downsizing to some degree, but the more classic sizes, like from the past, probably a 38 wouldn't be too bad. Especially with this white dial, it would probably, because it plays a little bit larger, I think, than perhaps a black or something darker. But I don't mind. I like trying to give you some perspective here. Like if you zoom, that's probably a better look, just because with a wide angle it distorts your perception of it. But when you do a telephoto, it actually brings things more straighter in proportion. So yeah, that's that. So let me zoom back out. And yeah, nice and slim. Looking forward to finally being able to get this on wrist and try that. And I'll get around to sizing the bracelet. So, well, you know what? I'll leave this up because I'm going to need to work with it. I'll put this away real quickly. And let's see. It slides right in. And that's just the outer sleeve, which I guess I'm going to try to match the orientation of the the logo. It's just this plus here and there's 4 squares on that side, just like on the box. But anyways, so that's that. And this one, I was deciding whether to get it or not too. It was between that and this at one point. I thought I was going to go with this, and I said, I don't know, kind of pricey, and I always wanted to go with this too, just out of curiosity, because it is a larger watch. It's closer to the original. Well, it's basically like another Tuna, to just tell you, and it will probably be in the title if you haven't guessed already what this is or know what it is. But it is a Arnie, and I wanted to go back. I was curious to go back to a full-size Tuna, and like 47 millimeters, and I had a couple before and they were great. I can definitely pull it off, and they were smaller than you'd think. And the Arnie's basically pretty much the exact same size, at least as far as I know, from the measurements around the case, or the shroud rather. The case, or the bezel and the dial itself, are actually generally smaller, just like it is on this. And so I don't know, I had an opportunity to get this, and I may not keep it. This is going to be my first impression anyways, and I want to know, one, whether that proportion of that watch is the same as the full-size version of the Tuna, and whether those extra buttons or pushers around it will throw it off or will it actually still work. That's one thing. And also the lug to lug, it is, I believe, longer on the Arnie, but they do arc down, and I think they come underneath the case like this too, so it may still work. So we'll see fitment and proportion, if that's good. And then secondly, judge the quality. I hope that the second hand is aligned. It ticks exactly where it should. If it's off, that might bug me too much. We'll see how badly it is. So here we go. This is not the limited edition version. They came out with 3. There's an all stainless steel bracelet, a paddy version. It has some stainless steel. Wait, is it? I think it is, but it doesn't have bracelet, but it has some like blue accents on it. And then the limited edition is almost like this, the stainless steel, but with a black dial and stuff. But instead of stainless steel, it's PVD coated, not DLC, unfortunately. But and here we go. See that trick with the, as soon as you open it up, it sets itself. It's just kind of cool. It's like on a standby mode. I don't know if you saw that. Just rewind it and look down here. I forgot to center this, sorry. But ooh, it's definitely bigger. Got some heft. But this looks like such a cool tool watch too, that I had to check it out. I see alignment too, right? So this feels good actually. Very Seiko-like. And as far as I can tell, as you guys are in the shadows, it looks pretty well lined up for me. If anything, it could be, click right there, backplay it, it could be ever so slightly counterclockwise, a little bit to the, I guess, the left, ever so slightly, but it's so close. And I'm looking at like the way that the 10 or 5 minute markers, I guess this maybe 5 or 10, lines up with indexes in there, that those look good too. That helps reinforce it being looking more centered. Just instructions on the bottom, it looks like, underneath here. Unusual, they put it in a kind of a smushed configuration here. What kind of I've never seen anything this weird before. Like, it's not flat, it's not square. Yeah, what is this? Oh, you gotta download it. That's right. And this should be the warranty card then. Yeah, it looks like it. So yeah, sometimes they don't supply it because it's a conservation thing. But look at this. Now this one is something that looks cool, like a serious dive watch, like a tool watch. And I'm curious if the proportions are the same. I mean, obviously, there's a somewhat huge difference. It's not actually super major, but the lug to lug you can see is longer. But you see how much it underhangs and angles down. Let's see, and that's very typical. Nothing special here in that stupid dive extension. I'm sure, yeah, this thing here, which no one will ever use, it looks so flimsy. But the rest of it's not too bad. It's kind of a monster style. They would have done well if they had flared out the this end like the monster one, I think, where it's like it's whatever this width is, but then it like has something that comes out and then it tapers down. But this looks like I'm sure it's 22 down to about a 20, which is fine. How's it ticking? So far, I've been noticing it on this side, and it looks pretty spot on. And it's pretty cool how you set this. I think you go by the digital. I have to go through the manual to make sure, but it's close enough. I think some of it seems ever so slightly off, ever slightly off, but for the most part, it looks clean and dead on enough to where it should be. Right there, seems like it's kind of off. Straight down, more or less. I don't think there's any way to adjust that. This side, it looks like it's ticking pretty good. Let's just have a look at that real quick. And it's pretty perpendicular, straight with that. That one's okay. There's okay. It's okay, but I feel like this side is, for some reason, it feels like it's slightly going off a little bit. Maybe it's the angle that I'm looking at this at. I'm like more to one side than the other. And it's pretty cool. It just ticks exactly with the second hand. So you set this and then it'll move around and go by what you have here. I'm not sure of all the function, but one thing I liked about it a lot. Pretty sure it's a screw down crown. It should be ISO certified divers, right? So I like these are your, when it's up, it's all locked down. You can't push it. And so it just gives you a little warning that you can push it now. So be careful, you don't want to actually use this when you're in the water. I believe this goes through the functions. This is the date, I think, display. This might be a second time zone or something. This has a depth gauge too, which is pretty cool. And it can log, I think, like I guess your depth at different times or something like that. I'm not sure, and I probably will never use it to be honest, but I think it's kind of cool that you have this. It further solidifies this as such a diver's tool watch. Although honestly, with today's dive computers and stuff, you probably get this and then some. So it's not that big a deal. And this is the chronograph, and then here's the alarm. It looks like, and back to I think the regular time, and I think this should be the light. Yeah. It's probably you can't see it. Let's see if you can see it here. Let me turn this off for a second. And I'm going to have to bump up the ISO a bit so you can actually see it. It's probably not super bright, but it's bright enough to my eyes. See, there you go. 1, 2, about 2 or 3 seconds, right? 1, 2, 3, more or less. But it's kind of it's basically a white glow. It has a slight bluish tint to it, I think. And the loom is green. I don't have, hold on. It shouldn't take much to charge this because it is in I consider this within the tuna family, and of course you get excellent loom. That's gonna last really well. Let's turn back on the lights. I'm going to turn back down the ISO so we don't get too blinded here. All right. I haven't tried it on wrist yet, have I? So overall, so I'm not going to take out the stickers yet. I'm going to test this out, and then I think this starts and stops the chronographs and all that stuff. But I love the use of blue reds as accent colors. I would, you know, I don't worry about getting this wet anyways because I'm not doing much diving, so I'll probably leave it so that I can see it because I do like to see those colors. But let's see how this looks on this. Okay, I'm gonna have to back up a little bit. Again, my wrist is 7 inches or just under. I haven't measured it recently, but I can't imagine it's changed that much. If anything, it should have actually gone a little bit bigger with all the manual work that I've been doing the last 2 years. But you can see, yes, it's going to be a big boy, and it's supposed to be. And, you know, for those, oh, it's too big, it's too chunky. Well, yeah, this is the way it's designed. It's a tool watch. And I like the fact that it doesn't hide that fact. It's just straight up a tool watch, and in one of the most extreme sense, I think. And let me try to back it up to give you some proportion on this. But look how well this comes down. That's what's important here. There's no gap, and it doesn't really overhang. I think I'm within that limit. Any more, then yeah, these could potentially like really jet out, and that would look, you know, especially from certain angles, you'd see that kind of really plateau off the wrist. You don't get that with this. And I have no idea what this is. Some people have asked about that. I think they showed this on Worn and Wound, like one of the shows. There was like a first impressions thing too, and they said, "Oh, it looks cool, but what the heck is these? What are these two screws for in here? Maybe it houses the depth gauge or something in there. I don't know." And you know, this looks like a tuna too, but of course this is like super tuna in a way, like in terms of functionality. Some may not even consider it. It's, oh no, it's not. It's just an Arnie. But no, come on. How can you? This is definitely has a lot of the same DNA here, very obviously. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is worth keeping around and playing around with. You know, I could have went with the black one, and some people would say that, you know, say that black will probably hide the size more. You know, it just doesn't less reflective. It's just more stealth, you know, right? It just kind of doesn't pop out as much, you know, with light plate at least. And it looks cool too in black. It such as a black bracelet that's I don't think they've ever done before. But kind of bugs me that it's not DLC, it's PVD, so it could scratch off over time, because I don't think these stuff don't come with the shield either. And besides, this is the SNJ033, in case you're wondering, and I did not pay that much for it. No. But I wanted to show off, that's why I got stainless steel, is to show off I like the brush and just the whole shows off the details in the metal work really nicely and better in my opinion. So that's why I went with that. And these seems like a lot, but they really don't get to your wrist. You just got to know how and where to position this and secure it. And it's high enough off the wrist where it's not like always on the back of it. As you can, hopefully you can sort of see. So let me try to back this off and give some proportion. It's about a little over 14 millimeters thick, but considering that's actually not that big for the overall size of the watch. And in a way, sometimes you need a little bit of girth or top, a little bit of thickness for a certain width. Otherwise, when it's too flat and wide, it looks even bigger because it's so, it just looks like it expands out this outwards more, if you know what I mean. Versus when you get at the thickness, it kind of doesn't have that outward direction as much, if you know what I'm saying. And again, the dial itself, and if you really go visually, you're probably picking up on the outer part of the bezel and the dial. You got to think about that. And I think it displays smaller. I'm trying to get as much distance as I can so you can get a better idea of the proportions and how it wears, because when it's like this, it might seem very massive. But when you put it into perspective from a distance, whereas, especially if you, I think if you zoom, it tends to straighten out the proportions or the distortions. I mean, you think about it, overall, it's not that tall, really. But I don't know. I think it's a cool watch. And I like the fact that they actually moved this down from the top. I think visually that looks more balanced to me. The digital display is kind of a secondary display to me since it's so small, and kind of odd that as such, the more dominant analog part of it should be on the upper half of it. And then you kind of put the secondary things on the bottom. Kind of feels weird to do it the reverse way, as to put it on the top instead. And I think because of that, I don't know, because it's the top of the dial and you get the full markers on this part of it, just kind of naturally like a sun ray or something. It just kind of looks more, fills it out better that way versus when it was the other way. All these markers would kind of squat and compress at the right underneath the screen, if you can imagine if it was up here. And so, and then you have the bottom part. I don't know, it made the dial look even smaller. This, I think, looks overall more balanced to me. And I think the other one was missing one crown, I think, or maybe one pusher, and they had that crown on this side. So that's, I think, a slight difference. Or was it the other way around? These were actually over on this side, I think, and they had this one crown on this side. But overall, I think this is pretty cool. Will compete with my other tuna? I don't think so. They're pretty different. You know, if I want to go simpler, smaller, more vibrant, fun color, there's this one. And then if I feel like a more two-watch vibe or something more serious or whatever, yeah, even though this is quartz inside, this, all that metal on the extra case, especially with the weight, but it's not crazy heavy. At least, I don't know, to me it isn't. I think this is super cool though. I mean, be curious what they put out otherwise later, but you know, just for a classic look, and I don't know, it just looks badass. I think this works pretty nicely. So yeah, I think this might be a keeper too. Let's just lock these down for now. You can't push them. But even if they're down, you know, it doesn't change the 200 meters water resistance. Like when it's unlocked, it's a little less secure, obviously, but you still should be able to get 200 meters with water resistance. These just help ensure that you don't do anything that will compromise any water intrusion by pushing these buttons, right? That's why you have them here, as far as I know. I'd be curious if Seiko actually says that you could use it. It's just that there's just safety just to not actually mess with them. Yeah, you want to be noticing how something like, wow, what the heck is that? It's definitely this guy here. I don't know. I think this looks pretty badass. And, you know, it's just for those who understand and don't mind having something that's like, you know, a little bit more manly or beastly, more out there for once in a while for fun. Because not everything has to be a perfectly proportioned slim diver. Now, if you were to only have one watch, probably something like this could do it. But if you do have the space and the ability to accept a variety of sizes and try something different once in a while, then I would encourage someone to try something like this, or even a baby one, 43. When you look at the proportions next to this, this is a 40, this is a 43. It's not, in a way, it's not all that different. The lug to lug is longer, the dial is bigger. This is shorter, the dial is smaller, more bezel, less bezel, you know. The proportions of different components change, but even though this is, 3 millimeters larger, it doesn't really visually play, I think, that much bigger in comparison. I mean, you got to see this on the bracelet, because this being black too kind of changes the look in comparison, because this is all metal and this isn't. But if you just look at the dial itself, you try to, it's not actually all that different, right? And this guy isn't all that thick either. I think it's actually technically might be about the same, if not slightly slimmer than an SKX. But anyways, just getting long for an unboxing, as I usually do. But this is a double unboxing. Anyways, that's it. I should already get to bed, but I wanted to show these off just to show and tell, right? So thanks for watching, and look forward to seeing more of these in the future. Thanks for watching. Later.